Hello, everyone. This is Mary Kurek with Frontrunners Innovate, and I have a beautiful face with me who represents a sort of a summit we'll talk about in a little bit. And you're seeing the logo of it right up there, the Business Resilience Summit for Barbados. But, and I don't think I've ever interviewed anybody that actually had roots from Barbados. So yay, you're the first one. So we have with us Dr.JoyVaughan, and Dr. Joy, as I was originally introduced to her, is an executive coach and has a couple of three hats she wears, different businesses. But our aim today is to not only get to know her and to talk about the cool work that she's doing, but also talk about this Business Resilience Summit, which I will be speaking at myself. So I'm excited to have everybody get to know you, Dr. Joy. So thank you for being with us this morning. And other than the fact that you're from Barbados, you're actually coming to us from Florida, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yes.
Tropical. I mean, and it's I'm sure it's very toasty there. I will be in Florida at the end of next week. I'm going to Key West. So
wow. You'll love it.
Well, I'm from a beach area. I don't, people say, why do you go to another beach area? Because it's a different beach area. It's definitely tropical. So, but I want people to get to know you. And I think you have such a rich history and an interesting background. I want people to know why you're doing the work that you're doing. So get us caught up to speed in your story of life.
Wow. Well, thank you, Mary, first of all, for having me and allowing me to do this interview. This is so great, right?
Yeah.
You're right. I am from Barbados. And after my mom died, when I was 16, my father found himself at the United Nations. And so it was natural for me to just follow along. Yes. And my life has never been the same since. A lot of highs, a lot of lows. But what my mom taught me before she passed was two things. Don't let anybody steal your joy, right? And to plan my life in decades and reinvent myself every 5 years. So that's what I've been doing, right? On a long trajectory of reinvention. And that's basically what I teach.
Wise woman.
Yeah. Yes. Reinvention and resilience. Those are my platforms. And so I started out as an occupational therapist, believe it or not, in the medical profession. When I got really, really sick, I was paralyzed and couldn't walk, and had a lot of physical challenges, which I still do. But here's the thing, Mary, it doesn't stop me. And I said, how can I give this to other people? Like, that was my main question, right? What would it take? And so I reinvented myself after my OT career came to an end as a writer. And I wrote Powerful People, Powerful Lives, which is my first book, for teenagers and young adults who were struggling to come out of adversity. And these are based on real stories of people who I work with, because if I couldn't be an occupational therapist, let me reinvent myself as an educator. So that's what I did. And as an educator, I was able to work with these very troubled teens and involved in the work of transformation, bring them out of where they were to where they needed to be. A lot of them went on to be, to have productive lives and really make something of themselves. Otherwise, they would have been in jail, like that.
Yeah.
So building on that work, I said, okay, what's next? I am always in communication with the divine. And I'm like, okay, what next, God? What do you have for me?
Be careful asking that question, by the way. I've done that.
I know. That's why I'm at this summit now. Like, oh my gosh,
All righty then.
Yeah. Exactly. So after that, I started to work with adults. And I took it from my life. I don't teach what I have not gone through, or what I don't know, or what I haven't experienced. And I can tell you, being downsized from corporate, let go, and told a couple of things. Number one, you're disabled. Number two, you're highly educated. Number three, you're Black, right? And number four, you're getting up there in age. So why don't we just quietly exit you out now? All the wisdom and knowledge were not acknowledged. at all.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
made no difference, right?
Yeah.
Particularly with my work with students with disabilities who, of course, have a hard time just in life, period. That was acknowledged, but okay, not a population that we really need to pay a great deal of attention to, right? So I came out of that, and again, okay, God, what's next? And then he led me to be able to do a brilliant, just brilliant. And I say that because my background from Columbia University has always been in brain and behavior work. I had a really brilliant professor called Dr. Catherine Best. She introduced me to the developing brain of children. And that's how I did my master's thesis, on looking at the impact of the environment on the brain and the brain's development in children 18 months to 2 years of age, following them and seeing how whatever happened in their natural environment, right, actually set the trajectory of what their preference was. So if they listened to a lot of music at home, it didn't matter what socioeconomic, but so listen to a lot of music at home, their propensity was for music. If people read to them or did a lot of verbals, their verbal skills increase. And I knew because the neurons were connecting. It's like a plant. Whatever nutrients you give it, Mary, that's the area that will grow. And I said, wow, we're onto something. And I kept going with my brain, but life, that 4-letter word that hits you, right?
Yeah.
So I had to put that on hold. And then the Academy for College Excellence came into town when I was teaching at the college. And they had a transformational program that mimicked the work that Landmark Education does in the area of transformation. But it was specifically for college students.
And college students?
Yes, for college students. And they say about college students, they're 18, they don't know anything. They're like, yeah. What we were able to do is to take these college students and put them through a transformational program. And within a summer bridge program, they were able to develop their leadership skills. They led themselves, they led others, they led their communities. And their grades went up significantly. Now, what was that about? How did that happen? So along the way, I met Dr. Barkley, and he had a scale of executive functions, because that's where that whole leadership piece happens in the frontal part of the brain. I said, you know what, let me study this. And so I went back and got my doctorate using his scales and tracking the brain activity of students over a 2-year period.
Yeah.
And that was a bridge, because we could see whatever the input was given actually caused shifts in the frontal lobe, right? And because of those shifts, the behavior then shifted. And I said, wow, this is like really, really like super cool. And it led me to say, well, who else could I do this with? Knowing, and I started to work with couples divorcing, because, that's a very cantankerous period.
Yeah.
Very hard.
Devastating.
Devastating. But there are two things. Number one, emotional intelligence became critical for each and every person to have. So I was able to teach how the brain works and teach emotional intelligence as they went through this very difficult period. Why is that, Mary? So they didn't hurt the children.
Yeah.
We have to protect the kids. Even though we are hurting. Yeah. And so that became very successful. And then I worked with executive women who were transitioning just like me from their jobs and didn't know what else to do with their lives. Or they were transitioning not only from their jobs, but from a spouse. Oh my gosh, that's a double whammy, right?
Yeah, yes.
So then they too, them set up new businesses, create new lives, reinvent themselves in 90 days and help them to be resilient. So taking a breath.
Yeah.
I said, well, what's next? Right? You're right. You should not ask those questions of you.
Yeah.
I said, why don't you do a summit? And because coming out of the pandemic, I realized a lot of people were just devastated.
Mhm.
Businesses were devastated. People were devastated. Mental health, as you know, was,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
still is
Yeah.
at an
Still is a
all-time.
problem. Yeah.
It's still a problem. But through it all, if you aren't resilient in all of it, you're not.
Mhm.
If your business is not resilient, your business is not.
Mhm.
And who owns the business are people. Never mind AI, never mind the latest and greatest technology.
Mhm.
People are the ones who can erode your entire business. And we cannot then trade out the latest gadget for a human being. Or if we do, we have to do it in a way that celebrates both together. I said, you know what? Let me put on a business resilience summit. So it wasn't like that at first. It was for anybody who wanted to learn how to be resilient. And we put the fire together. But this is the coolest part, right? You know, I said I'm from Barbados, right?
Yeah.
Well, guess who was coming to town, Mary? None other than the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Amour Motley. And she was having a town hall meeting at FIU. Now, I have to tell you, this tested my resilience because to get there, honey, barring a donkey cart, a pigeon, and a flying horse, Mary, I'm telling you, it took something.
There.
So I went down to see her, and she's talking in the room, and she's explaining about resilience.
Mhm. Wow.
Very Kismetian, right? And she's saying, you know what, we need a new paradigm shift in the country. We need to be resilient. I just took our country republic. We just broke from England. So she's the first female prime minister of the country. And she managed to do that. And she's been on the cover of Time magazine, etc. So she managed to do quite a bit. And her vision for the country is we have to do a new paradigm shift. But we have to change our mindsets in order to embrace that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So after the meeting, I go up to her and I said, because everybody's saying, Prime Minister Motley, what can you do for me? What can you do for me? And I said, this is what we can do for you. And I handed her the flyer, and she turned to her Consul General, Rudy Grant. She said, handle this. And the rest is history.
That's it.
That's
so is that's the way the summit was born then?
Yes.
The genesis of it is you handed her the information on how you would do this.
Yes.
And this is exactly what is needed, is to bring everybody together to learn and to start changing the mindsets.
Yes.
That that they don't need to think about just today or tomorrow or selling this widget, you know, blah, blah, blah. It needs to be with a resilience mindset. It needs to be from the long view. Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And in what spaces? I think you guys have identified some spaces particularly that will help create that sense of resiliency from a big picture perspective for the country. So will you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So there are 4 key areas.
Mm-hmm.
The first is medical tourism, which deals with health.
Yeah.
The second is agriculture, which deals with food security.
Mm-hmm.
The third is civil aviation, which deals with travel. And the fourth is energy. Because we want to present all the cutting edge trends in these areas to the people who will be in the room. So there will be a collaboration of minds, great minds, and synergy, who can now move their businesses forward in that hub, right? And also be able to partner with each other and with the key movers and shakers in the room, which will be the ministers of government and key business people, venture capitalists like Yvonne, like yourself. We have a great lineup of speakers, by the way. Everybody gearing for the same goal, resilience.
So the hope at the end of this, the goal at the end of this summit, and first tell me, is it 3 days? I think it was 3 or 4 days.
Right.
Right.
The summit is actually 5 days.
5 days.
I
Okay.
mean, 6 days and 5 nights.
Okay.
That's the summit.
And it is held in Barbados in October. You want to give the dates out?
Yes, it's October 7th through the 12th.
12th. Okay.
Yes.
And so you are a member of the committee. You are the founder of the summit, but I'm sure you've got other people you are working with. You want to tell us a little bit about the behind the scenes operational part of this and the details as you're putting it together, so people get a sense of what is going to be on the agenda and what the hope, what the goal is for everybody in that room. Because you talked to me about this before, to walk out of the end of that summit with, ta-da. Okay. So tell us.
So background, my
Mhm.
tag team partner, I have several tag team partners,
Yeah.
but the first one I have to acknowledge is my friend of 50 plus years. It's a long time, right?
Yeah.
Her name is Mary Simmons, and she, for 35 years, was a key mover and shaker in the United Nations Development Project in the African diaspora. And she's done a lot of work in that region. We know each other well. She's put together conferences such as she is a mover and shaker. And we've been friends, so it's like a natural thing and we work very well together. The second one, whom I could not do any of this without, is Steve Piven. And Steve is the digital marketer, all of the website. He put that all together along with Angelique, who is in Canada, and MacArthur. And she did the copy, Colleen Dupont, the Frenchies. I mentioned these people because their heart is in it, right? Max Drive Marketing has been doing a wonderful job on getting us present on LinkedIn and mining LinkedIn for those 4 key industries. And of course, Yvonne Gamble, Dr. Yvonne Gamble, has been a mentor to us, as well as yourself. And heart.
She's the one that connected me to you.
Yeah, I'm beginning to tear up here because you ladies have
And I've already connected her to one of my clients that they're starting to work together. So
yes. So
happens that fast.
Exactly. Paul Barry is coming,
Another one of my guys,
right?
yeah.
Amber Pagan, I think she's another one of yours. So you guys have been very instrumental in going after the kind of speakers that can not only speak, because this is not, I want to be clear, this is not going to be a talking heads conference.
Yes.
No.
Agreed.
No.
So that comes to the goal. I can't wait for you to see it.
Everyone is going to be presenting a think tank workshop like conversation where the participants actually have to work on an issue. And on day 5, present their findings. And when they leave the island like Gilligan on day 6, after the sunset cruise, right? Day 5, they will leave with an action plan for their business. That will be a resilient action plan that they can take into the next millennium. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. So the participants, the actual attendees, where are they coming from? And paint us a picture of who they are, what they look like.
All over the world. I've got interest from Indonesia. I've got interest from the UK. I've got interest from Africa, right? The Caribbean. There are people coming in who have aquaponic and agroponic farms.
Oh, wow.
People coming in who are have marijuana farms and are looking to up their game, right? In that industry. That's in agriculture. Devin Patel, and never
one of my mind.
he's looking to build a stem cell research center. We're ready. Okay. He's so funny. He says, Joy, I only need 5,000 square feet. Just 5,000.
Well, he told me he had made some conversation about that with somebody in Barbados some time ago. Timing must not have been right. I feel like God has his own watch. You just got to wait for when that time is right. So perhaps now it would be. I don't know, but he's honestly, I'm a big believer in what he does. I have a personal story that's attached to that. I think you know that.
Yes.
Yeah, that if not for him, I'm not sure I'd have a family member alive today. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, and some of the work they've been doing in stem cell therapy. So big fan. But yeah, resilience is practically his middle name. So with this man, he doesn't even sleep, I don't
But,
think.
on the heels of that, we have Dr. Kinsley Bell, and he has actually does gene splicing, a huge contribution to the IVF community.
Yeah.
And in vitro fertilization, as you know, is a big topic now for a lot of women who have struggled with that, or even same-sex couples who are struggling with that. So
Well, there's your medical tourism right there between Devin and him. I mean, that speaks to that very well. I mean, because in order for me and my husband to make use of Devin's stem cell therapy, we became medical tourism. We had to fly somewhere else and to get that service provided. So yeah, there you go. Medical tourism.
So that's in medical tourism. Agriculture, I talked about a little bit. Currently, we have no agricultural school in Barbados. And people are building buildings. You can't eat a building. So I reached out to the University of Florida, and they're very interested in coming to the summit. Anderson Johnson. I spoke to him. Any kind of people who supply agriculture, any kind of business. These are the people with any medical supply company, any hospitals who want to partner for training. That's important. So those are two of the industries. Civil aviation, the next one. Again, Barbados is very interested in building a flight school. But just not any flight school, one that can train commercial pilots. It is very expensive for a pilot who's out of work. And there are a lot of them since LEAC shut down and other airlines shut down, who can't come off the island because of their families, right? To come up to America to spend over $200,000 to get retrained. It's just prohibitive. Why should they stay at home? Why should they stay at home when they could have a commercial flight school that they could go to in their backyard? And here's the exciting part, Mary. That flight school, that commercial flight school, could serve the entire Caribbean.
True. Yeah. Would that be the only flight school that would be a commercial flight school in the area?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Yes.
Worth a conversation with right people. Yes.
Completely. And then the people who supply that, the seats for the plane, whatever.
Everything, all the stuff that goes with it. Yeah. Fantastic.
So, and then the last one is energy. Alternative energy. I can't say a wind farm because of land space might work, but any kind of alternative energy that people feel. You're big on solar. Yeah, we're big on solar. But anything else to do with alternative energy that people can think of, that's who we want at the table, and what I call in the room.
Awesome. So this kind of gives a nice overview of what's going to happen and what your expectations are at the end of this. So what we're going to do, Dr. Joy, now is ask you, other than the summit, which I know is the biggest thing on your plate right now, what else is coming up through the end of this year that involves you personally and your work, your business?
Well, I am always open to coaching, individuals and executives in their trajectory to move their life forward. That's a given. And helping businesses do that. We will be doing some little talks along the way. Of course, everything is towards the summit now. One of the things I've found there is, for me personally, I don't like to spread myself too thin. If I'm focused, I'm very, very focused.
Yeah.
That's how I work.
Well, that's what this has got your attention, I'm sure. Then for the remainder of this year.
But you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask you from the standpoint of, you kind of painted a picture of the types of participants that you need for this. Talk to me about the other types of people that you need to meet to help you move things forward. If you need more speakers, sponsors, if there's any other types of individuals you feel like you need to speak to that will help move the work that you're doing forward in resilience.
Definitely sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a cool thing. Even the sponsors, even the speakers, you'll all be leaving with action plans.
So are there sponsor packages yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, yep.
all
Yes,
right, very good.
Yeah.
So give me an idea of let's say the top sponsor,
Okay.
like you've got a major sponsor, what would they get in the package?
Well, we call them the Pride of Barbados sponsor.
Okay. Okay.
Platinum sponsor at 50K, and they get all the VIP, the bells and whistles of a VIP. They get to private meetings with people that they want to meet to do business with. So that means ministers of government, etc. They get their banners. They get a video of themselves that will be played throughout the year, so that they keep in front, of our audience. They'll get to attend, like, because we'll have 4 times a year, we're going to bring everybody back together and talk about what their progress is, how they're progressing, right? If they need coaches, we have that available for them, They'll, of course, they'll get all the royal treatment picked up at the airport, opportunity, a spa treatment, a table, not only a table, a display table, but actually, for 10 people.
So you're planning an expo type componment.
Yes,
to
exactly.
this. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The banner, big at the front of the room,
Okay.
but the main thing is the access, the private one-on-one access.
That's fantastic.
Move their business forward.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, this is so good, and not just that it will benefit Barbados, it will benefit it, but the other people from around the world that it will benefit, and they take that back home and they take what they've learned and maybe pay it forward a little bit and share it with what they've learned with other people, and be able to kind of create some mass momentum for what you're aiming to do. So sounds like a plan, and a golden one. So I'm excited for you. This is great.
Yeah,
well,
I think the 2 things that make the summit different. Number 1, it's action oriented.
Yeah.
And number 2, it's accountability throughout the year.
That's what makes it different. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what makes it different. And number 2, the kind of people who are going to be in the room that you would never get to meet normally.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 things.
That's the fun stuff right there. You hit the last one as the major fun for Mary. So I'm looking forward to that. People that would never get to meet. That's fantastic. I think you're just amazing. The energy that you have, the passion that you're putting forward in this, and you're just glowing, even though I know you're probably exhausted from putting all this together. But I want to applaud you. I want to say, stay with me for a minute. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody else. And so if you're watching this on YouTube, in our channel on YouTube, go to www.frontrunnersinnovate.com, where you'll get this interview and some other cool things that Dr. Joy is providing us. So you'll have some links, the registration link to the conference, and of course the website that has all the information right now on what is going on with the summit. You want to keep up with that. And you may think, well, that's in October, I've got time. Well, don't wait, because this is a limited seating situation.
Very much so.
It's not going to be thousands.
Right. No. It's a very limited. The early bird special is till April 30th. So you want to get your ticket down payment now.
Okay. And how much is it actually? So
the summit itself, the early bird special is $4,700 total.
Okay.
With a down payment of $1,050.
Okay.
After April 30th, it's going up to $5,700.
Okay. And what does that include, Dr. Joy?
Okay, this is great. It includes your hotel. It includes your ground transportation to and from airport. It includes a round the island tour. It includes 2 meals a day. It includes your sunset cruise,
Mhm.
and it includes your access.
Wow. So basically, after you pay that, all you gotta do is get yourself there, pretty much, and bring some spending cash, because there are
Yes.
gonna be things you want to bring back from Barbados.
Exactly, exactly. And we do have on the website, you'll see we have a travel agent. Her name is Carmen O'Reilly. She has a connection with the embassy, so you want to begin to use her because she can get you the best packages.
Fantastic. We'll do that. I actually saw that in some of the information you sent forward to me. So yeah, definitely going to do that. My husband wants to come too. So.
Oh, that's
So
a great listen. I cannot tell you how many people are seeing this as like a second honeymoon.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
I said, what are you going to do while I'm at the conference? He says, don't you even try to put an agenda together for me. I know what I'm going to do. He's already been looking at things in Barbados and stuff. So he's already got a plan. But this is terrific. Thank you so much, Dr. Joy. And if you're, like I said, if you're watching this here on YouTube, go to www.frontrunnersinnovate.com. I'm going to say that again so that you can get all the information and the link to direct registration so that you can have it right there. So thank you again. I appreciate it, Dr. Joy.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.